voters. And so I'm convinced that we'll be able to stop this because it is the most pernicious thing. This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
Strict voter ID laws that are meant to prevent voter fraud, but in reality, make it harder for a lot of people to vote.
Yeah, those things go hand in hand, you know, it makes it stricter, so it's gonna make it harder. But the whole point is, yeah, to combat voter fraud. You don't want to make it too easy.
I'm Ami Horowitz, and I'm here in Berkeley, California to find out if voter ID laws suppress the black vote.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification. These type of people...
Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for a certain fee.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African American.
You're just making excuses to make everything sound racist as usual.
Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes. Why would they think we don't have ID?
Everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot. Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are?" Are you cool?
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
As also noted, Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide.
Dude, I'm f***ing done, dude. I need a drink.
So say it with me. Si se puede. The future is ours. Thank you.